why is it important to be an entrepreneur?
So, in my experience, the reason why entrepreneurship is important is because number one, it allows you to be independent. Number two, it allows you to create and own your own products. And number three, it allows you to network at an elite level.
You said number one is to what?
Number one is it allows you to be independent. So, like you said, being able to have control over your time. When you're working for somebody else, like the typical 9 to 5, even if it is your passion, you're still working in the confines of what somebody else says. And don't get me wrong, this podcast is not promoting people to stop working at 9 to 5 just to be an entrepreneur, because although I am an entrepreneur, I still have a 9 to 5, and I'm working on my transition into being a full-time serial entrepreneur. But in order to be successful as a full-time entrepreneur, I think it's very important to go ahead and get started while you have your main job so that you can set your foundation to be a full-time entrepreneur. And it's also important when you're creating your own products, because it not only benefits you, but it benefits a whole audience of people that you may not have been aware of, and it allows you guys to connect and also to network.
So when is a good time to quit your job?
Well, I would say at minimum, people always advise that in your job that the goal for your savings account is to at least have all your bills paid up for at least 3 months. So I would say that is probably your lowest starting point. And when I say all your bills, that includes your rent, that includes your car, your food, that includes everything. And you should have at least 3 months of savings in your personal savings account so you can have that wiggle room.
So now I've been in rooms with a lot of millionaires, and in these rooms, it boils down to mindset. And I heard you say savings. Savings is not an abundant mindset. It's more so, I'm going to hold this just in case I don't accomplish what I set out to accomplish, because I'm saving it. Instead of saying saving, I'm leveraging. I'm leveraging my job to prepare for entrepreneurship. Saying it like that, repeatedly saying it like that, creates a zone or a mindset of how money works. Money is really nothing. It's paper. Money is only based on the value that we give it. So you leveraging money to actually get something that's valuable to you,
which is your time.
So for me, I quit my job when I was able to pay myself double what my job was paying me. That's what it was. And then you have to create goals. You have to know what your monthly goal is going to be. You got to know what you need to live, and knowing that, double it. So for me, on a day-to-day basis, I worked a 12-hour shift, night job. I can make around $10,000 a month, right? But in order for me to quit my job, I need to make $20,000 a month. And not need, it says only. I only need to make $20,000 a month. When you say it like that, you make it seem possible. A lot of people say things and they psych themselves out before they can get in the game. So I only needed $20,000 a month to stop working my job.
Right.
And that's what brought me to real estate investing, because it allowed me to double my money in a short amount of time, right? Because I can sell 2-3 houses talking on the phone all day. I could, well, not sell them completely, but get clients.
Right.
I can get 3 clients in one day if I work hard enough, or I create that funnel, right? Or creating a course, or creating different things. That's why being an entrepreneur is so versatile, and it's fun, because now you can utilize your talents and you can brainstorm, and you become like a source of information that you can eventually turn into money. So for me, once I doubled my monthly, I quit my job literally that day. I quit. So that's my take on when you should quit a job. And that's why entrepreneurship was important to me, because I was able to buy my time back to be able to spend time with family. And for you out there, I know for sure, if you're looking at this, you're either a dad or becoming a dad, or you might just be a typical single man. I mean, but we're really focusing on dads or soon to be dads. But at the end of the day, eventually you're going to be a dad unless you just don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
And becoming an entrepreneur is for dads, but it's also for a regular man. You know,
for men.
For men in general, it's like a gateway to the next level of life.
And just like you said, bro, like really knowing what you're saying, and thank you for sharing that about upgrading your mindset. You know, instead of, like you said, going from let me save 3 months ahead, let me leverage, 3 months ahead, or let me leverage double what I was making in my 9 to 5 in my entrepreneur endeavors. And that's a critical key. And it reminds me of what you were talking about the other day when you brought up the concept of having a millionaire mindset.
Right. Because millionaire mindset is different because you have to be creative in order to accomplish that. Because if you're thinking millionaires, you can't work at 8 to 5.
Mm-mm.
It's almost impossible. Now you can leverage the money that you make from your 8 to 5 to create sources of income that will lead you to millions. Now I definitely suggest that for anybody out there. Like, I worked my job for years before I actually started getting in room with millionaires and them explaining to me, hey, don't quit your job, but when to quit your job.
When to quit. So everybody out there listening, like my man Jarvis said here, it's not about just quitting your job. Like, do not just quit your job in a day because you're an entrepreneur. And there is no shame in that, because I'm still in that process myself. But the key, like Jarvis said, when it comes to developing the millionaire mindset is to know when to quit your job.
Right. Definitely. So, what's the next question? What we talking about next?
Networking at an elite level. So, as we discussed, man, about networking at an elite level is being in those rooms and those spaces with people who are being and doing what you want to be and have.
Well, why should I network?
So network is important because, number one, it gets you out of the norm of the people who are in your daily life. Like, when you networking, it allows you to present yourself and to have an offer and to connect with other people who could be doing the same thing as you, or even things that are bigger and better than you that you can learn from and collaborate with.
Right. But let's take that and let's 10x it. So for those of you out there, quick side note, you need to buy 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. So the concept of 10X is whatever you're thinking about doing in the next year, you do in the next month. Creating an impossible goal that will make you be more creative.
Now, what is an impossible goal, bro?
An impossible goal, my impossible goal as a real estate agent, I'm taking an investor out of it, but to be an agent, I want to have, even being an investor, right? Because the reason why becoming an investor was possible because I had an impossible goal. So I had to be creative, right? So my impossible goal was 1,000 transactions by the end of this year, real estate transactions. To the typical person, that's impossible. Even to me, that was impossible. That's why that's my impossible goal. But doing that, you have to work from your impossible goal down instead of working up. So if your impossible goal is 1,000 transactions, you have to think, what would a person that's making 1,000 transactions be doing right now?
So it sounds like what you would say is, when you're developing the millionaire mindset, another key question that you need to ask yourself is, what does this look like at a 10X level? Is that correct?
Right. And at that level, what do I need to change now to become that person immediately? Right.
And not only that, like you said, once you find that 10X goal, working your way down instead of trying to work your way up to the 10X goal.
Facts.
And that's such a critical thing, because me being a public speaker, the first event that I started with was at my alumni You know, shout out to all the HBCU students out there. And the next event that I had where I was doing public speaking was for an organization that had received a grant from the city.
Right.
And I was able to speak with some parents. And now thinking about what you said and taking that millionaire mindset and you know, also that 10X mindset, now I have to go back to the drawing board and say, instead of thinking about trying to book one event this month and
Right.
next month, how can I go ahead and have my events booked for the year? And not only that, but how can I look for a bigger audience? You know, can I go from just parents to a whole school? Can I go from just a whole school to speaking at the school board? Or how can I go from that to speaking to colleges?
Or what would a person that's speaking to colleges be doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Are they waking up and sitting on the couch all day?
Mm-hmm.
Are they waking up and not going to the gym? Are they not eating healthy? There's so many things that come with that when you start thinking that. And that's a millionaire mindset, right? Most millionaires you meet aren't fat, ugly, and slobby. Most of the time you meet a millionaire, they have some type of regimen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're going to drink their coffee, they're going to handle their business, they're going to go to the gym. You know, they have an order to things because that's what it takes to be able to accomplish certain things in the impossible goal, like mindset, right? So my impossible goal, like I said, was to make 1,000 transactions, which made me be more creative, which made me network with not just like-minded people, but the regular person at the corner store.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be open to anybody being a client at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So even when one of my houses I sold 2 weeks ago in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. I sold a $535,000 house. Side note, I'm in Arizona. I'm a realtor. If you guys need anybody to help you with real estate, whether it's Arizona or or any state around the world, my broker is licensed in all states. But that's a side note. But so basically, I met this lady. She was doing my hair, and we were just talking real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And happens so that they were looking for a home.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't become salesy. I was just having a conversation with the mindset of I got to make these $1,000 transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So at any point that I can turn that conversation into a potential client, I will. So what I did was I said, hey, if you guys need anybody to just look at the houses for you, I have super access. Super means that I can get the lockbox to open these doors that are being sold on the market.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys want to go look, I'll look for you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no contracts involved. It was a simple lead generation statement.
Mm-hmm.
And literally a day later, we were out looking for houses.
So let me ask you a question. You mentioned a key thing, and which was about Regimen. You know, because I think it's, especially for somebody like me who's in a career, like, the difference between a career and a job is just focused on that one specific task.
Right.
Whereas a career, you have a career and you're able to diversify yourself. But one thing about being in a career, especially, you know, a 9 to 5, is you get used to that 9 to 5 schedule. You get used to, you know, going to bed on a certain time.
Well, see,
you get used to waking up.
And I don't mean to cut you off, brother, but I understand what you're saying. But the thing is, the system is built to protect the system.
Mm.
So the system, school teaches you bell, lunch, everything happens based on the bell. Just like back then, schools was invented for people working in factories.
Mm-hmm.
That's why bells happen. You eat lunch at the same time. The system is built to program you to be on an 8 to 5 schedule.
Mm.
Entrepreneurship is nowhere near that.
So tell me more about how you were able to create your regimen going from a 9 to 5 to being a full-time entrepreneur. What did you have to do, or what did you have to change in your personal life to have that regimen as an entrepreneur?
Well, first I had to create the millionaire mindset. And I had to sit down and really think about what my impossible goals were. And once I decided what my impossible goals were, I thought from that down. What would somebody making 1,000 transactions be doing today? He wouldn't be watching TV. So I stopped watching TV. He wouldn't be not reading books. So I started finding books to read. He wouldn't be trying, he wouldn't just not try to utilize every avenue that they can to get their possible goal. And when I say can, I mean that's going to be able to be something that they, like one of their talents, or something that makes it not easier, but like if you can't jump, then don't your impossible goal shouldn't have nothing to do with jumping. Your impossible goal, it definitely has to be out there, but you want it to be a part of something that you kind of like or that you kind of want to do.
So basically, your impossible goal should be aligned to a skill that you already have or currently developing.
Right,
Okay.
because in order to change your life completely, you definitely want to be able to do something that you can just do, not almost effortlessly, but that you would like doing, because you're going to be doing it for a long time. Like you might spend all day doing it. So like if I like to draw, I don't mind spending all day drawing, which will make me better, which will, you know what I'm saying, will make me be able to get to my impossible goal easier. Like in 10x is easier than 2x. It talks about Michelangelo and when he sculptured the famous Hercules. Michelangelo, although he liked to do art, he had to dig deep into what a body consumes, like what actually comes in a body. Bones, blood, tissues. He actually dissected dead people. And he was dissecting dead people to figure out exactly what's inside and outside of a body, so that when he sculpts it, he's hitting it right on the notch. He's not guessing, he's not wondering. He knows exactly what he wants to do because he was able to spend time learning something that most people wouldn't do. They would just create a sculpture. But being able to spend time doing that, it had to be something that he didn't, not mind doing, but something that he liked to do, right? Because if you like to do it, then it won't feel like you're working.
And I totally agree with that. And, you know, just how you were talking about that you had to start reading books. One of the books that inspired me to begin my entrepreneurship is the book about Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And so basically it talks about a rich dad who was not working a traditional 9-to-5 versus a poor dad who was working, you know, a traditional 9-to-5. And I even think that dad was a teacher and worked for the school system. And so what I learned from that, just like you said, is I have these skills because I've been working in this career for over 8 years, right? I went to school, undergrad and graduate school, all for this. So reading that book developed my mindset to say, hey, let me use my skills not just in one area when I'm going to work. Let me also use my skills in a way to create revenue for myself and my family, another source of income. And so that's critical, like you were talking about, is reading books. Like that's another thing about having a millionaire mindset is if you're expecting to get knowledge and information, yeah, it's cool in today's time to go on YouTube and social media, but the old way of reading a book and take your time is still proven, right?
Highlighters. Man, my book got so many note cards in that joint.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you sometimes you gotta read the book twice. Listen, I'm almost at the end. I'm not even at the end of the book yet.
Yeah.
But I've learned so much.
I can tell.
So I've been taking notes and I'm gonna read it again, bro, because honestly, it's one of the first books that I really can learn from and use the techniques immediately. And I see changes, right? So, yeah, man, you gotta read.
You gotta read, man.
I got a whole list of books.
Donnie Wiggins, she on her podcast, which is Donnie Wiggins and David Shan, she talked about how that there are more billionaires and millionaires that actually read books than there are that aren't. Right. So she's basically saying you're not going to find, like you said, a millionaire or a billionaire who's not reading books.
Shout out to Social Proof Podcast.
Shout out to Social Proof Podcast. Speaking of that, man, tell me about, you went to the podcast summit down in Atlanta, man. Tell me about it.
Man, it was crazy. Now we was downtown Atlanta. If anybody know downtown Atlanta, you know what's out there. So we was so you know what's going on in Atlanta. It's like black folks Mecca out there, you know. So it was fun. Chris Brown was doing the show, but all that is irrelevant to, you know, what we're talking about. Well, not really. I think Chris Brown is a dad, but he's doing something he likes to do. So like that's exactly, you know, it fits the arena of what we're talking about. But yeah, it was good. It was life changing. It was amazing. It was eye opening, and I took a lot of notes. I met a lot of great people, and it really pushed me to do this podcast, Boss Dads, and that's why I set it up. That's why we set it up how we set it up, because I wanted to go from there straight into doing podcasts. The podcast summit is people like Marcus Roser. I think I might be saying his name wrong, but Marcus Roser, David Shans, B. Simone,
Jonathan Dupatot,
Finesse.
Shout out, bro. Appreciate your podcast.
Finesse guy. So it was filled with a multitude of people, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, bro, I learned so much there that I can't even put into sentences. It's more so like
an overall experience.
Bro, because like you're in a room with millionaires and regular people.
So let me ask you a question, right? Because we're hearing
it's
people
hard
say,
to see people like that.
I was about to say, so
in a public setting.
Because when you think about it, right, if the typical person is not always in the room with a millionaire. So it's like when you're in a room with a millionaire, how do you act? It's like, do you try to fit in? You be yourself? Do you observe? Like what is it? How do you compose yourself in a room full of millionaires and you know you're trying to get there, but you're not there yet?
Try to be yourself, but you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You got 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. So my advice to anyone is to listen and watch more than you talk. But when you do talk, speak with confidence and don't be scared to ask questions. Millionaires love questions. They might not tell you, or you might feel like, oh, I'm gonna sound stupid if I ask this question. But they love questions because it shows them that you're interested in becoming something better than what you are. And they've been there. Most millionaires been there. Some, you know, are trust fund babies. You know what I'm saying? You know, they get passed down millions. But nowadays, there's millionaires that been made like, shoot, every other week.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because at the next Boss Dad podcast, you know, I'm going to bring y'all some data, some statistical data about millionaires because this is definitely a subject that needs to be discussed more in the African-American community.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, being the CEO and visionary of Scope Ignited, it's about expanding vision. It's about seeing yourself in a broader category. It's about seeing yourself at that 10X level. But sometimes we overestimate instead of just going for it. Like you said, if you're in a room, yeah, you observe, you look, but if there comes a time for you to talk or if somebody hands you a mic, you have to be courageous and believe in yourself.
Bring your mic up. And I know y'all probably wondering why I got my shades on. It's a lot of lights in this studio, so it helps me have astigmatism. But I'm gonna take them off so we can get down and dirty. So down and dirty. So what's the next question, bro?
So as we know, this podcast is tied up Boss Dad. So I also wanted to discuss something that I saw on TV, which was the BET Awards, when Usher Raymond received the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Fire.
And I really wasn't, I thought he was going to, come get the award, maybe say a little speech. But when I actually was listening, and for those of you who saw that moment on BET, he actually got personal. And he talked about forgiving his dad, and that how as when he was younger, he felt like his dad wasn't there for him. But now that he is a grown black man in America, he realizes how hard and how much struggles a black man has to go through to be successful in today's world.
Bro, I got chills, bro. Because honestly, like if you guys could zoom in, I will show you. But I used to, man, give my dad the hardest time because I didn't understand how you could not want your family to progress and just be rich and be able to do what you want to do and to be able to not work at 8 to 5. But when I saw that speech, he really put everything in perspective because that was a millionaire. I mean, he's a millionaire now, so it's kind of easy to say, it's okay, you know, I made it, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's deep, bro, because the thing is, you have to be forgiving in order to really understand where we at in society. Because when you're forgiving, you understand what that man went through.
And another thing too about forgiving, especially coming from the social work perspective, see, as you can see with Usher, he's telling a story that began from when he was a child. So imagine how long he's had to carry that baggage, or like you said, in your personal life, or even for me in my personal life, things I may have felt differently or saw things differently from my father before I actually became a man and a father. It teaches you that sometimes we carry that baggage with us even when we're grown. But it also teaches us that when we forgive somebody, it releases that baggage. And it also allows us, especially as men, to take the responsibility to say, hey, you know, my dad didn't do this and that, but I forgive him and I love him, and I'm not going to harp on what he didn't do. I'm going to focus on my life to make things better for myself and for my children.
Right. It creates a level of responsibility. And the more responsibility you take on, the better your family will be. And for me, I was able to gain more respect from my father. It got to the point where he came to me for answers to what he should do. So although that's a lot of pressure, that's a part of the game. You can't expect to make millions of dollars and stay the same. Making $1 million, either you're gonna leave a lot of people behind, and you're gonna bring a lot of people up with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I heard a long time ago, before I even had $1 million mindset, is the way to become a millionaire is to help someone else become a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
You take it how you want to.
I can agree with that.
But BT Awards was fire. If you were there, congratulations. I wasn't. I was at the podcast summit for 4th of July.
Yeah, I saw it on TV myself, and like I said, that I don't think anybody was expecting that moment from Usher, because Usher, he's not one of those entertainers.
I didn't even know his father wasn't in his life.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, because remember, his mom was his manager when he first started as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's his mom?
I don't know her name, but she was mama.
Some Usher. Is Usher his real name? Yeah, it gotta be his real name.
It's Usher Raymond.
Usher Raymond, yeah. So
his
Raymond.
mom's probably last name is Raymond. But we can find out.
Yeah, we can go to that later.
But either way you look at it, anytime you look at career photos with Usher, you see her.
Yeah.
You don't see.
It's kind of like Kanye.
Exactly, but a little different because I think something happened. Well, no, Kanye's dad is still alive, but I think Kanye's mom moved them to a different country for a while.
Where?
I think it might have been like Japan or Italy.
Was that in the documentary?
Yeah, so it's something like that.
Oh, okay.
It's something like that. But you know, even and still, and let's all go ahead and give him a shout out, because even though this is Boss Dad's, let me tell you something. What would we be without our mothers?
Pew, 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 pew. If I was a DJ, I had that little button.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to all the mamas. Mama, I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, I already know how much love we got for them because we always around them.
Exactly.
Bro, my mama's, I got out the military and I went straight to Arizona where my mama was at. I called mama and said, where you at? I'm on my way. Mm-hmm. Right now, she still stays an hour from me. I'm a Southern boy, you know, that's how we do it. So, and shout out to all the mamas for sure.
For sure, right? And another thing too, and I'm pretty sure you witnessed this too, like, especially being raised by a single mother, when you as a young man take responsibility and ownership as a man, it lets your mother know, hey, I respect and I appreciate the sacrifices that you made for me.
Yeah.
And they respect that, and they get to witness our journey. You know, not to go super biblical, but one thing you got to notice is that Jesus' mother followed him all the way to the cross.
Ugh.
She was his main witness. You know, so it's always love for the mothers.
What was Jesus' dad doing?
His real daddy or his stepdaddy?
His real daddy.
G.O.D.?
No, his stepdaddy then. Because we know what G.O.D. was doing.
So basically, from what I remember in the story...
Wasn't he a carpenter or something?
Yeah, he was a carpenter.
Okay.
Basically, from what I read in the story, and we can, you know...
And that's a prime example of a father doing something less than what the son's going to do. Just like we being a millionaire son.
Yeah.
Like, it goes right into what we're talking about.
But I will say, to give Joseph credit, it seems from the story that Joseph was... Number one, he was more financially supportive and things like that when Jesus was younger. Mm. But it doesn't, I don't remember any stories in the Bible where like Joseph is like correcting Jesus or he's like disciplining Jesus. He's more there to take care of Mary and to support Jesus, but he knows the relationship with Jesus and Mary. So, you know, he has an understanding, but he didn't completely bail out because some people don't know. Jesus has, you know, siblings, which are Joseph's kids.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We'll talk. We can read that, you know what I'm saying, in the Bible. More.
So what does the Bible say about entrepreneurship?
Oh, man. First of all, we got to understand that the word entrepreneurship is such a not even broad. It's such a technical word in today's society. But you have to understand that from God's eyes, he may not say entrepreneur verbatim, but what God does is he makes us to be productive. Mm-hmm. Meaning if it's a tree that supposed apples, when Jesus comes, when God checks it out, he's expecting that tree to produce fruit. Right? He's expecting, even in Genesis, it tells man to go forth and multiply and subdue the earth. Mm-hmm. So that's him giving you a job, and he's telling you how to perform that job effectively.
Fire.
And, you know, there are a lot of stories that talked about, there's one story about when the master gives talents to the servants, and he comes back to see what they have done with the talents, where it's like one guy, he had one talent, and he buried it, and he thought he was doing a good thing. When the master came back, he basically told the master, here, I got that one talent you gave me. And he was upset because like he didn't multiply it. Right. Whereas another guy that had 2 and he added 2 more, so he had 4. And another guy had 3. I'm not sure how, but he added. That was the point. So even though God doesn't say verbatim, be an entrepreneur, the Bible is all about productivity, right? And the Bible has many stories and illustrations to being rich and to being gold. And even like me and you talk about, it says that a blessed man will leave an inheritance to his children's children. You know, so it's clear because it's not now don't get me wrong, the Bible is not promoting it in the way that you are self-centered. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just want to be rich to be rich. No. God wants you to be rich to take care of your family. Yeah. There's a purpose in him wanting for you to be productive.
Fire. Okay. That's good. So, how important do you think, well, first off, for those who don't believe in the Bible, I'm gathering from you that the Bible is more than just spiritual, it's guidance. And you can utilize it. Principles are principles.
Definitely.
They work. They don't just work for you. They don't just not work for you just because you don't believe in God. Yeah. A principle is a principle.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Bible so, you know, profitable for people. And let me say this, you know, because like you asked me, there are millionaires who have used principles from the Bible. Number one, Myron Golden. He talks about principles in the Bible all the time. And I would even say that's the base of his success.
I think I need some help in here.
Yeah. So definitely shout out to Myron Golden. Another person, and this is speaking to books and also other media outlets that I have followed. Another big book that had changed my life and expand my thinking is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He used a lot of Bible principles as well. Now, one of my biggest guys, and he may be controversial to some of you, but he definitely has a lot of business principles. His name is Reverend Ike. Reverend
who?
Reverend Ike.
Reverend Ike.
Yeah, Reverend Ike. He's an Ike, and basically, he was one of the forerunners of what they call prosperity gospel. So basically, letting people know that you can have a dream, you can have a goal, and that you can be successful and have what you need in this life, and that you don't have to be living lowly and paycheck to paycheck. And
you can live in abundance.
You can live in abundance. And that's what expanding vision is all about. That's what 10X and having a millionaire mindset is all about. Is you can have it, you can do it, but you have to do the work.
Yeah. That's good. What would you consider work? Now, I've heard a lot of times work works. So just get to it and it'll work its way out. Right? Mm-hmm. So, but some people are just working but not being productive.
Productive.
So, meaning producing. So you can work but not produce anything because your work is, help me out.
So I definitely agree that you can be working just to be working. For example, I'm going to find the exact statistics, but in America, the statistics say that there at least is 60% of the population that live paycheck to paycheck.
The system.
So when you're living paycheck to paycheck, that means you're getting paid just to pay your bills. You're getting paid to pay other people.
Facts.
You're really not even fully enjoying the money that you make. Yeah, you may have your house, you may have your car, but that to some people is not that is not the full extent of living.
Right.
I'm an example that really expanded my vision is I went to the Biltmore House.
I've been there, bro.
In North Carolina, right? And so for anybody that's ever been there and knows the history of the Biltmore House.
They shot Richie Rich in there.
Exactly. But the Biltmore House is, their relatives are related to the Vanderbilts. Mm-hmm. And the Vanderbilts are one of the major large families that helped build America up. But what was mind-blowing and mind-changing was two things. Number one, they tried to build a swimming pool, right? The swimming pool was bigger than most houses. Jeez. They built the whole swimming pool and realized it had a leak and they couldn't even use it.
Unproductive working.
Working.
That's a perfect example. And that's what I need help with because I'm like, when you think $1 million